Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Shyam's PM Stories. The topic for today is how to successfully thrive in a Greenfield product environment for the product managers. What a typical Greenfield product environment would look like. As a founding product team, be it at a large company or in a new startup, the team already would have researched the problem space or have had a past experience in the problem space. And as a PM, you might be joining the team that is just about to begin the journey of building the Greenfield product. I've been part of at least 3 to 4 product life cycles of launching a Greenfield product from concept to the MVP at Oracle. And I would like to share about some of the dynamics around what it takes to thrive successfully in such an environment. What it takes to grow from a team member to a contributor to an influencer, ultimately a product lead for that MVP product. My very first Greenfield product involved reimagining and rebuilding an existing product in a new technology. And the mission was to leave the baggage of what we already had as the equivalent products in the current world and go towards a world-class set of capabilities. And the focus was how we can solve the problems in a completely differentiated way, exponentially different from how it is being solved today. The team that was assembled was a PM lead from one of the existing product families, and there was an engineering lead from another product family, and then there's an overall general manager of the product coming from a third product family. So we had a mix of people with past history of domain knowledge, engineering expertise in solving and building the products in the same problem space. I was the junior most person in the team as I transitioned from QA role into a PM role. I was looking for the journey in terms of getting into the creative space of building the products. So the very first fundamental principle I set for myself was how to bring in a sense of drive and engagement every conversation that I'm part of. I had good domain expertise in that problem space, but I had never developed a product in that problem space. And I'm coming into the group where people have built products in that problem space successfully with thousands of customers. And now we are in a point to reimagine the same product completely in a different way. Given all this, I came with nothing to lose situation, but everything to gain. And I wanted to make sure I take advantage of this opportunity to the maximum extent. So I was reporting to the product management lead, who was a great visionary thinker. I kept him as my mentor and my coach, and he was very open to guiding me and encouraging my thinking and ideas. You definitely need a support in the team who can travel with you, who can understand your ignorance, who can understand your inexperience in how you think about and guide you and nurture your thinking. And I was also lucky enough to have such people and my peers in the team who were super helpful in terms of guiding me through this whole process. Ultimately, finding the connection with your PM leads and other peers was quintessential to this journey. One of the key things that the founding team did was setting up key guiding principles for the new product. This was the very first step that we did as a part of conceiving the product idea. And these guiding principles were important that blended the differences in points of views of each member. Ultimately, we ended up with one unified set of design principles. It brought everyone on the same page and towards the same vision. Once we got to that stage, then we got into concept building phase. So this was most important phase because this is where we are actually starting to build the product. We took every design principle that led us to think about certain concepts. And from that point forward, the idea was to validate those concepts with the problem space, the use cases, and whether it really solved what it should have solved. The key design principle acted as a foundation, and the concept was actually converting that foundation into differentiated capabilities. So what was my role as a PM? To begin with, at the minimum, I was a very keen observer, and later on, I wanted to become a great contributor to this whole exercise. I intensely listened to every group discussion, and I also followed up with a lot of curiosity, and the curiosity resulted in participation, doing homework in terms of thinking through that particular design principle, concept, and then coming back to the group, the discussion with a point of view, and then continue beyond the group discussion through emails and other offline conversations. So my engagement was infectious. So as I got into this mode of curiosity and mode of observing and beginning to make my contributions, I also intentionally practice taking ownership of outcome. There's a sense of curiosity, and then there's a sense of ownership to every discussion, where you know that the group discusses a bunch of points, but then it goes back and resumes in each person resumes their work, but I keep track of the trend of discussion until to a point of conclusion. So it is important that every discussion leads to a decision in the product, and that decision is backed by a fully meted out thought process through examples and artifacts that you want to use to establish it and to rationalize the decision. So in this process, one of the interesting things that I learned was, in a greenfield environment, it is always an iterative process. There have been many instances where we were 90% close to defining a concept, and then we scrapped the work completely because there was like 3 or 4 scenarios where it violated the design principles or some of the key use cases. So we had to take a step back and rethink from the scratch. You might have spent like 5-10 iterations leading up to that. This is the point where we should rebuild the drive and focus and really optimize for good product outcomes ahead of the efforts that you've already put in. So shift the mindset that you won't be tired even after doing 50 iterations. The key part is, how are you able to keep the outcomes of the product as your goal post, and not the fact that you have invested the time in coming up with that particular idea. As the concepts were getting focused into the product, my role slowly shifted from becoming, contributor to an influencer. So now at this point, we got into execution, and as we start the technical designs and coding. So because I was on top of the concepts, I had a very deep insight about these concepts and what are the boundaries, what are the do's and don'ts around these concepts. So I was able to guide the engineering team in terms of the validating the technical architecture. The product development phase and started into early delivery of the working software. I transitioned into testing the product, building various showcase scenarios. I was able to elevate myself from an inbound execution to getting ready to showcase the product to the internal leadership teams. The opportunity naturally evolved as I started being an observer to a contributor to an influencer, now to be the lead voice of the product to the internal stakeholders, to the peer teams, and even potential early customers. As you travel through this journey, you should not leave the intensity of the engagement. It should continue all the way. You were part of the design principle phase, you were part of the concept phase, you are part of the architecture phase, now you are part of the delivery phase. The engagement and the passion and the drive should continue all along. Your involvement has led to possibly an outcome of the product being delivered, but now you have to make sure you're also getting into the impact phase. What impact the product can create for business and customer, and how you be part of that impact. Speaking of impact is not just in terms of the business and the product metrics. It is, in a greenfield product, impacts are much beyond the obvious. It is about the quality of the product decisions made. It is about the pace at which you're able to move with making the key product decisions. A decision to scrap a design approach that could have led to a locking into a bad architecture choice is still a good impact. To summarize, to successfully thrive in a greenfield product setup, use the drive, engage, outcome, and impact as your guidepost to navigate through this journey. Bring in a significant drive and engagement to every conversation, especially in the early phase of the product consumption. Be a great observer and do the homework to become a contributor, own the outcome, and be a person of impact. So this organically takes you to becoming a leader. I enjoyed the journey of a team member to a product lead as a part of my greenfield product journey. I hope you found this session useful. Talk to you next time. Thank you.